Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Positive Solutions for Life, which is all about transforming your mind and body from the inside out so you can live the life you truly desire. I'm Peggy Meyer, and today we're diving into one of the most transformative concepts out there, the flywheel effect. I recently heard this concept a few times over the past couple weeks by different personal development speakers and even a guest on my podcast. And I'm sure I've heard this term before, but when I've heard it multiple times in a short amount of time, I felt the need to dive just a little bit deeper into it and share it with you. The flywheel effect was made famous by Jim Collins in his book Good to Great, which explains why some companies and even individuals seem to build unstoppable momentum while others burn out trying. So let's just dive into this topic just a little bit deeper. First, what is a flywheel? Like, do you have a visual of it? So let's take a moment and imagine a giant, heavy industrial metal gear, 30 feet in diameter, 2 feet thick, and weighing 5,000 pounds, mounted horizontally on an axle. Your job is to get this enormous gear spinning as quickly as possible. At first, it is so painfully slow. You push, and it barely moves. It's so heavy and big. You keep pushing again and again, and it barely inches forward. You can hardly see any progress. But over time, you just keep going. You keep pushing in the same direction. Over time, it starts building momentum. It starts moving with this consistent and continued effort. It becomes a little easier and easier to get it moving as it gains speed. This is where the law of inertia begins to take effect. Once in motion, an object will stay in motion. Momentum starts to take over. Small wins lead to medium wins lead to large wins, and suddenly, after dozens and dozens of turns, it's spinning. There's a breakthrough, and now each push adds momentum to it. Success seems to appear out of nowhere. Boom, a breakthrough. This is the flywheel effect, and it's not powered by a single explosive event, but it's powered by compounding consistent actions over time. And this is what happens in business and in our lives. So let's just dig deeper. Why is this idea so compelling? You've probably heard the statement, people overestimate what they can do in one day and underestimate what they can do in a year. Most of us overestimate what we can do in a short amount of time and massively underestimate what we can accomplish through consistent, deliberate effort. This powerful concept behind the flywheel effect is in building momentum machine, creating a virtuous cycle that feeds on itself in order to create better and better results over time. The flywheel flips the script. It's not about doing more. It's about doing the right things repeatedly. You take small steps forward, focusing on the small wins. The small wins accumulate to form visible results. This means people start to notice. In business, they line up, they show support by purchasing and are engaged and energized by the results. And then sometimes they just share and refer to others. In our personal lives, similar things happen. People start to notice. They show support by giving compliments, which fuels our motivation and energizes us to keep going. Over time, this consistency of actions and receiving rewards rewires our identity from someone who's trying to succeed to someone who is succeeding. And as you continue to turn the flywheel by taking consistent actions, it builds more momentum and the cycle continues until you achieve a breakthrough performance where great things happen. So let's take a look at a business example. Jim Collins writes about Amazon as a prime example of a successful flywheel. So Amazon's flywheel starts with lower prices on more offerings of goods. Lower prices leads to an increase in customer traffic. More people come to the site. As more customers buy, it helps to attract more third-party sellers. More third-party sellers means more product selection and distribution. And then this helps grow revenues and create a better customer experience, which then helps Amazon to lower prices even more, starting the cycle all over again, creating a self-reinforcing loop that just keeps spinning faster and faster. Each component is not merely a next action step, but more like an inevitable consequence of success in the previous step, which means any improvement to one of the components of the cycle amplifies the others. It leads to better performance in the remaining components. And this then creates that virtuous cycle. If you nail that first step, you are just automatically launched into the next step. So with Amazon's example, lower prices leads to more customers wanting to buy, right? So then that goes into the next step, then the next step, like a positive chain reaction. And this is how you build momentum. It is a slow build at first, slowly building momentum that happens over time, not days. This is not an overnight success. This momentum happens over years of executing on a simple formula. So that's a business example. But what about in our personal lives? What does that look like? So a lot of us can really think about and have had a lot of health and wellness goals, right? So let's create a flywheel around health and fitness, for example. So say you're wanting to get into shape, and the first thing you do is decide to start walking on a daily basis. So what would be the next component? So when you start walking on a daily basis, you start to feel better and you have more energy. The next component. So when you feel better and you have more energy, this leads you to make better food choices. You're feeling better. You want to make better choices. And once those better food choices leads you to getting better sleep. Better sleep leads you to wanting to walk more or add more to your workouts. Maybe you add some strength training in, which then leads to building more momentum and the continuation of healthy habits. So then you feel better, you have more energy, you make better food choices more consistently, you want to do more, you had in your workouts, maybe you even do more, with your family or at work because you have that more energy and you just want to consistently do it. And this is how you can make lifestyle changes that you can continue doing and sustain for a long period of time. But remember, it starts slowly. That flywheel starts to move very slowly because it can be hard at first. The first week of starting something new, it could have been brutal. For example, anyone that started my 30-day Tone Up for Summer challenge of like a month ago probably thought it was brutal. They were probably sore, tired. Maybe they wanted to give up because of that, but they kept going. They kept doing the daily workouts, and we're almost done now. Or actually, we are done now. How do they feel? But one action leads to the next. One component is a positive consequence of the previously executed action. So in that 30 days Tone Up for Summers challenge, we were doing push-ups and squats and rows and abs every single day. And it was increasing in the number. And, some of those things are hard, especially the push-ups. A lot of us don't have that strength, but consistency, the one component, is a positive consequence of the next. So then that helped create some positive momentum in other areas. We felt better, we were getting stronger, we wanted to make better food choices, and we just wanted to continue it. And hopefully people started to notice. Others started to notice. That increased our confidence, and the habits locked in. And then suddenly, fitness isn't such a chore anymore. It's part of what you are, who you are. It's part of your identity. And that's the flywheel at work. And the best part, it's not just physical. The mental and emotional gains are real. The discipline, the resilience, the confidence, the clarity in what you're looking for. So, those are just two examples, business and personal life of the flywheel. But how can you design your own flywheel? This is where it gets powerful. You can design your own flywheel in any area of your life. So, relationships, communication, health and wellness, if you want to use that one. But there are already proven, tried and true methods or formulas for success in about any category that you want to achieve a goal or a dream in. Health and wellness, social media, content marketing, e-commerce, whatever. There's so many already proven methods or formulas to use. You can also look at flywheels of highly successful businesses like the business like Amazon. What is working for them? That could inspire you and give you insight on how to build your own flywheel. But first, how do you get started? Yeah, ask yourself, what's your big goal? What is it that you want to achieve? What is it that you want to feel or accomplish? And write it out. The next thing is, what small actions can you take to build momentum toward that goal? So list out as many little action steps as you can. And then look at those. What is the starting point? What is the first action you can take? So then once you've got the first one, what is the action or component that follows next? What is the natural consequence of taking that step? And then the next one and the next one. So in setting up your action or components, ask yourself, how can each action reinforce the next? So you should be able to explain why each component or action follows the previous component. So in our personal example of the flywheel, it's like taking a walk, leading to feeling better, leading to wanting to make better food choices, which may lead us to sleeping better and then wanting to walk more or add more to our workouts. So make sure that you can kind of connect the dots with that. And then also keep your flywheel to no more than 6 components or action steps. Otherwise, you're making it too complicated and you're not going to be able to get through the whole process. You're going to lose momentum. You're not going to build it. So really think about what are the key components to simplify your action steps. Then test it out. Test your flywheel, experiment and review it. What's working? What's not working? Refine it, improve it, and repeat it until you get it down to what works best for you. Remember, the goal is to build a momentum machine. The goal is to design a flywheel where improved performance in any one of the components leads to positive and great results in the remaining components. So the key components, what are they and how can they build momentum to the next step? So in summary, the flywheel effect reminds us that success doesn't come from one big, bold move. It comes from consistent, focused effort over time. It's about showing up, pushing through resistance, and building something powerful with small, steady steps. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to take one action today. Each step fuels the next. One walk leads to better energy. More energy leads to better choices. Better choices leads to transformation. And before you know it, the wheel is spinning on its own. You have created habit momentum. So here's your challenge. Pick one area of your life, whether it's business, health, mindset, relationships, communication, whatever. Define your why, your flywheel. Write out the components, the action steps, and then take that first small step and keep pushing the flywheel, keep pushing, getting it moving. Because remember, momentum is built, not found. You don't need more motivation. You need movement. You need to take action. With every push, you're building power. With every win, you're rewriting your story. Your transformation starts with a single action, repeated consistently over time. So your flywheel is waiting. Let's get it spinning.